let's talk about one of the most fascinating and fastest growing markets in India right now. It's a world of luxury, aspiration, and honestly, incredible profit margins, and it's hiding in plain sight. Or maybe I should say, in plain smell.
So, I've got a question for you. What does $1 billion actually smell like? Is it jasmine? Maybe sandalwood? Well, in India, it smells like a massive, and I mean massive, untapped business opportunity.
Because that's the number. India's perfume market is projected to hit over $2 billion by 2033. Yeah, you heard that right. This isn't some tiny niche market anymore. We're talking about an absolute explosion of demand.
All right, so for this first part, let's just break down the sheer scale of this boom. You'll see pretty quickly why there's so much potential just waiting to be tapped.
Okay, just look at this chart. The contrast is wow. Right now, the average person in India spends less than $1 a year on fragrances. In developed markets, it's around 25 bucks. That gap right there shows you everything. It is the clearest picture of the sheer potential for growth. I mean, if that spending just doubles or triples, the market could easily grow by over 100%.
And the real battleground for all this growth is in what the industry calls the sweet spot. Think of it as that perfect price range where aspiration meets accessibility. It's way more premium than a basic deodorant, but it's not as intimidating as some of those super high-end international luxury brands. This is where all the action is happening.
So you gotta ask, why is this all happening right now? What's creating this perfect storm for the fragrance industry in India? Well, it's really a combination of some powerful forces all coming together. You've got rising incomes for one, and more people moving to cities. Then you have this massive youth population. We're talking 580 million people under the age of 40 who see perfume as just an essential lifestyle product. And on top of all that, you've got the huge power of social media influencers, a deep-rooted culture of gifting for weddings and festivals, and the fact that e-commerce can now get these products into every single corner of the country.
So who are the main characters in this story? Well, first, you have your aspirational young professionals. The folks in tech and finance who see a nice fragrance as an accessible luxury. Then there's the massive wedding market, where perfumes are a huge part of gifting and just looking and feeling your best. And what's really critical is that women are driving something like 55 to 60% of all purchases, both for themselves and as gifts for others.
Of course, where there's opportunity, there's always competition, and the fight for India's fragrance market is this fascinating clash of titans, scrappy disruptors, and local heroes.
You've got the big international luxury players like Tom Ford, and their whole game is brand heritage. Then you've got the Middle Eastern brands coming in hot, growing at 25 to 35% a year by offering amazing value. Fighting right back are the domestic niche brands like Bombay Perfumery, and they're winning by telling these really authentic Indian stories. And finally, you've got the huge corporate players like Titan Skin, who are using their massive retail footprint to compete.
And this right here is the crucial point, and it's captured perfectly by industry analyst Alpana Razdan. She says that despite all these players, the premium segment still has relatively weak competition, and that means there is a huge opening for a focused, modern brand to come in and totally redefine the market.
Okay, so how would a new brand actually do that? What's the playbook for success look like in this modern, digital-first world?
The answer is something called the asset-light direct-to-consumer model, or DTC as you'll hear it. What does that mean? It just means you don't need millions of dollars to build a factory, you partner with manufacturers, and you sell directly to your customers online. This approach just completely lowers the barrier to entry and lets you focus on what really matters, building an incredible brand.
So the strategy is pretty clear. First, you build your brand and your community online. Second, you have to tell a compelling, authentic story that really connects with Indian consumers. Third, you harness the power of influencers, which, by the way, can be 40 to 60% cheaper than traditional ads. And finally, you use e-commerce to go after those fast-growing and often underserved markets in Tier 2 cities.
Now, this is the part that is just mind-blowing. Let's look at what it actually costs to produce one 50-milliliter bottle of premium perfume in India. When you add up the fragrance oils, the fancy bottle and box, the labor, the total manufacturing cost is somewhere between about 160 and 360 rupees. That's it, seriously. And what does a bottle like that sell for? Well, in that premium sweet spot we were talking about, a typical retail price is around 5,000 rupees. The gap between the cost to make and the price you sell it for is just enormous.
Yeah, just let that sink in for a second.
We are talking about a potential gross margin of 88 to 98%. Now, even after you factor in all your marketing and e-commerce fees, the net margins can still be a very, very healthy 25 to 40%. The profitability is just incredible.
But hey, before you run off to start your own perfume empire, it's not all roses. The path to success might be fragrant, but believe me, it is also filled with some serious challenges.
The competition is absolutely fierce. The regulatory landscape in India can be really complex and cause huge delays. You've got the constant threat of cheap knockoffs that can damage your brand's reputation overnight, and, consumer taste can shift in an instant. It's a high-reward game, for sure, but it is also a very high-risk one.
So, the stage is set. India's fragrance market is on the verge of this explosive growth, with incredible profits on the line. But it's a complicated, fragrant battlefield. The big question is, who's going to win this war? Will it be the global luxury giants, the nimble domestic startups, or maybe a new player we haven't even seen yet? The race to capture India's secret scent is officially on.